Well, thank you very much for asking me to do this interview. It's a privilege and an honor coming from RCSI. My fellow classmates will recognize me as Lesley Opoku, who comes from Ghana and qualified with them in June 1981. I think most people know what I've been doing since I left college, which was I went to London and started work there as a junior house officer in London teaching hospitals, got married along the way, had 5 children, still carried on working, and eventually ended up as a GP partner working with my fellow classmate Maha Saif in South London until 2010 when I went back to Ghana to start a new life. I wouldn't classify myself as a normal politician, but I'll start with my life in London straight after qualification from RCSI. That's where I lived. I married in London. My husband was a dentist. And as I said, we had our home there and had a family. Because of his transition from dentistry to the oil industry, we lived in a world where we entertained a lot, met people from all over the world, so to speak. So there was that background, but even if you look at the RCSI leaving book for our year, you'll find that I was one of the people who was always entertaining and loved having people around and sharing, stories about where I'd come from, my dreams for the future and so forth. My dream was always in medicine. I don't think I ever envisaged that I was going to leave medicine and do something else, but sometimes you go with the flow in life and you enjoy the journey as you go along. So most of my early life was spent coming in and out of medicine, as it were, depending what stage the children were in their lives. And my own background from Ghana to something that I didn't make much about in college is that my father was the king of Ashanti at that time. So I was coming from a royal background where, again, I was used to a lifestyle where there were always people around, always people to feel responsible towards, which went well with the idea of being a medical doctor. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that RCSI teaches you is dedication, which goes very well with every role I've entered into. Dedication to people. It's certainly, I would say from my experience working in the UK, working in Ghana, that we were taught excellent bedside manners, something that has never failed me. And again, that's very useful in the position that I'm in now, how to approach people, how to talk to them, learning to listen to people and understand what they're trying to tell you. I think that has been a great attribute for me, something I've carried from there. And yes, I think RCSI taught me a lot. It was very international. You were classmates with people from all over the world. Interestingly, not the areas that I'm serving now as ambassador, because now I don't recall we had any Russian students, and I'm also concurrent ambassador to Belarus, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Moldova, all countries that I don't recall we had students from during my time at RCSI. So the part of the world that was not part of my life at RCSI has come to join. So there's a fuller picture now. I knew within myself I could do it. Everybody around me, well-wishers, were saying, go on, take it, you can do it. Because what actually happened was that I'd retired from the practice in London in 2010 and decided to move back to Ghana. I was in and out of the Ghanaian medical system really to get a license in Ghana, but thinking, well, what do I need a license here for? But there was that sense that I still needed to give back something after having lived out so long. And I went through various different roles. Then in 2015 came an opportunity that I couldn't refuse. There's French company, CFAO, who actually are in most countries throughout the world. And they had a pharmaceutical company in Ghana. And they approached me saying, we want to build a diagnostic center in Accra. Could you help us? And I thought, okay, I'll find you someone to do it because I'm not in radiology and that side of medicine. Then they came back saying, no, actually, we think you can do it. And I took on the challenge. And what was meant to be a diagnostic center, now I added a medical center because I said, you know, that's what I know and I could consult. Then the next thing was, I had another doctor who was a cardiologist advising me that we add a cath lab. So in the end, the whole concept changed. And I was its first medical director. This is Eurocare Medical Center in Accra, in Ghana. And then we got a professor of cardiology from the University of Wales, who is one of the world's leading cardiology interventionists, who also happens to be Ghanaian, to come and head it as the medical director. So it became the go-to, or still the go-to, leading cardiac hospital in Ghana. And I was just finishing off the project when I was asked to come to Moscow as ambassador. So it took me by surprise because I thought I'd entered a new medical phase as an administrator. So I focused on getting the clinic finished, opened, and in October 2017, I took up the role as ambassador resident in Moscow. First of all, I got here never having been to Russia, never having spoken a word of the language. And I was overwhelmed. It's such a beautiful wonderland, historical city, full of culture and so forth. But then, like you said, I'd come for a reason. I happened to be the first female Ghanaian ambassador posted to Russia. So that in itself made me feel, more is expected of me, because we all know Russia is a very military styled country. So to send a woman without a military background, but then, you know, being prepared as a doctor also gives you a lot of courage. You've seen a lot of things through A&E and different departments, which most other professions don't see. So all of that, I think, is preparation for the role that I came into. As an ambassador, I mean, first and foremost, you're meant to enhance and deepen the diplomatic relations between your country and your host country, and also to create opportunities for business and cultural relationships. So that was the path that I started on, trying to see what companies would be interested in going to Ghana, and, you know, vice versa, what Ghanaians are looking for from Russia. It's not our typical partner country, say like the UK, America, Germany, all those other countries. So it was, in some ways, you know, quite a steep learning curve, learning the culture here, getting on with the Russians as people, understanding them, and seeing what areas they also wanted to engage in. My term as an ambassador really was 3 years, and it ended on November 30th, 2020. I take it that it's the sign that our president was happy enough with what I considered the little I'd managed to achieve in my first term, that I've been reappointed again to the role second time as ambassador to Russia, something that's not happened before in Ghana. First of all, as I said, the first female ambassador to Russia, and secondly, the only ambassador who's been returned to this particular post twice. So I actually arrived in Moscow 3 weeks ago. So in some ways, I'm a novice again at something that I've done before, and hoping that this time I'll be even able to do more than I did the last time. Yeah, there are many moments that stay with you in this job. I mean, even let's say at the beginning when I got to present my credentials to President Putin, it's not every day that any of us get to meet the president of Russia and talk to them on a one-to-one. And this happens with all heads of states that, you know, I present to. For the other countries, as I mentioned, I've got Belarus, Armenia, Moldova, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and you present in all of those countries. So it's always a very proud moment to represent your country. But in terms of business, one of the things that happened during my time was the first ever Russia-Africa summit. And we had 45 heads of state from Africa. And I'm proud to say my president was one of them. In any diplomatic mission or during your term, to be able to organize for your president to visit is always the highlight of one's diplomatic mission. So that in itself is considered an achievement. And for all the works that, you know, I planned to try and get businesses to Ghana, we've had, you know, joint corporations done, was that there was some reward at the end of my 3 years when I presented to the foreign ministry to say that I'd finished my tour of duty and I was going back, was that I was awarded with a medal from the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs for hard work, dedication to work, and improving relationships between our two countries in various spheres. So yes, that was also a very proud moment, and I'm very proud of that medal. I guess I learned how to receive medals in RCSI. I came away with 2 medals from there, which I actually have in Moscow. I've always kept them close to me because it's always been a reminder of my time there. The first one was in my first year, a medal in biology, and the second one was for pediatrics in my final year. So perhaps I learned that art from RCSI. Yeah. One thing I always say to people is that training as a doctor, you can do anything you choose to, because the discipline is rigorous enough for you to turn your hand to anything that you choose to do. You've just got to break out, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I don't think I've done anything amazing rather than stuck to the principles that I know. And, you know, when you go to university, most of the time it's about mental discipline, and medicine in itself is a rigorous training. You're used to staying up late, you're used to getting up early, you're used to not getting any sleep at all, you're used to being interrupted by bleeps, perhaps not so much now as it was in our day. But I think all of that sums up who you become. And especially in RCSI, as I said, you meet people from all over the world. So going out and meeting people from different parts don't faze you. It's something you've been used to for 6 years. So I would encourage anyone to know that doing medicine doesn't mean you have to only practice medicine. You can do things on the side, whatever pleases you, because a lot of people going to medicine also have a great interest in art. In our year, we had a great pianist, Pierre Magnus, you know, concert pianist quality. So, and you know, others have gone different ways to do other things. I've done many other things apart from medicine. And I think that's what kept me going in medicine, because I had other interests to get back to. The burnout is very common. And if you want to prevent that, then I think you've got to, if you do have another passion, enjoy it, enjoy the journey, and the rest will come to you, because hard work always pays off. It's very much a people's business being a doctor. If you don't want to face people, then you're not going to be happy as a doctor, whether you're in hospital medicine or you're in general practice away from the hospital, because you're interacting all the time. You'll end up as a researcher, for example, then you don't. But if you know, you even choose, not having gone into hospital medicine, to still deal with other disciplines, it's easy, because you don't even have to think about it. It's a no-brainer. It's been instilled in you. And like I said, in RCSI, one thing that was so instilled in us was that bedside manner, and how to examine a patient. All of that together just adds great skills to you. You know, even when you don't know what you're talking about, you know that how you look at a patient makes such a difference, or how you talk to them, or even that touch when they need it. It makes a huge difference, and it's not something you have to think about and put on it. How do I talk to this person? How do I make them feel? It becomes part of you. It becomes part of you, and I think it serves you very well in any area that you choose to go into. That's for sure.